How do you begin when you have nothing? When the digital world stretches before you like a universe of opportunity, yet your pockets are empty, your attention scattered, and your confidence fragile. Do you wait for the perfect idea, the perfect tool, the perfect timing? Do you dream of wealth while your hands remain empty? Or do you act, not because you have everything, but because you are willing to become everything necessary to create it? To build online income starting today with nothing is not a question of strategy. It is a question of internal authority. It is a question of identity, focus, patience, hunger, and the ability to convert zero into leverage, zero into systems, zero into freedom. The first truth is brutal. You cannot create external wealth without internal mastery. Money, tools, platforms, they are irrelevant to the one who is undisciplined, distracted, impatient. They obey only the mind that governs them, the identity that commands them, the habits that sustain them, the patience that compounds them. If you begin today with $0, you will be tested relentlessly. You will be confronted by distraction, scarcity, fear, doubt, temptation, and desire. You will want to quit. You will want to flee. You will want to chase quick dopamine rather than long-term compounding. This is the invisible battlefield of online income. This is the test that separates the reactive from the disciplined, the transient from the inevitable, the dreamers from the doers. You must embrace invisibility. There will be no immediate reward, no followers, no metrics, no affirmation, no external proof of progress. The world measures by visible results. The digital economy responds to internal mastery. You must act without reward. You must build when no one watches. You must refine when no one cares. You must persist when the balance is zero, and the only thing you own is attention, focus, and the hunger to create. Attention is the first currency you have. Focus is the first leverage. Hunger is the first fuel. Without these, even $1,000 would fail to grow. With these, zero becomes a catalyst for unstoppable momentum. Systems are the second truth. Every successful online earner understands that money is the byproduct of invisible architecture. Funnels, content, marketing, products, services, they are tools that magnify what already exists internally. You do not need capital to start building these structures. You need clarity, strategy, patience, and consistent action. You can create systems from nothing. Free platforms, social media, organic content, collaborations, learning, offering value. The digital economy amplifies what is already disciplined. It punishes chaos, impulse, and distraction. You can start today with $0 because systems do not require money. They require alignment, attention, and execution. Patience is the third pillar. The world will deceive you with illusions of speed, virality, and instant gratification. You will be tempted to chase the flashy, the shiny, the shortcut. Resist. Online income built from zero is compounded patience. Each task, each post, each refinement, each interaction is a brick in a fortress that will eventually yield freedom. You must endure invisibility, boredom, and repetition. You must sit with delayed gratification, knowing that each invisible act compounds. The algorithms do not reward urgency. The platforms do not reward desperation. The world does not reward fantasy. It rewards patience aligned with execution. Identity is the fourth foundation. If you wish to generate income with nothing, you must become the person capable of creating it. You must embody discipline, resourcefulness, adaptability, and relentless execution. You must act like the person who already earns, even before a single dollar arrives. Every piece of content, every interaction, every system you build reflects your identity. The economy mirrors who you are internally. You cannot fake it, you cannot outsource it, you cannot buy it. It must be forged, quietly, invisibly, relentlessly. Begin today not as someone hoping for income, but as someone whose identity is aligned with the creation of income. Begin today with identity, not capital. Begin today with mastery, not luck. You might think starting with nothing is a disadvantage. It is not. Scarcity is clarity. $0, zero resources, zero excuses. This is the blank canvas on which mastery is painted. When you have nothing, you are free from distraction, free from debt, free from the tyranny of expectation. The world will not hand you opportunity, and you will not receive it by waiting. The digital economy rewards action, alignment, and internal mastery, not hope. You must become the engine that generates value, leverage, and income from zero. Start with observation. Study the platforms where your future income will emerge. Social media, forums, communities, freelancing marketplaces, these are the arenas where value circulates freely and where anyone with attention, focus, and persistence can create influence without paying a single dollar. Observe patterns. See what works, what engages, what is ignored. Do not act yet. Absorb. Learn the language of your field, the cadence of attention, the rhythm of value exchange. Knowledge without execution is a mirage, but observation without awareness is blindness. This is the first invisible work of starting from zero. Next, decide where your focus will be. Focus is your most valuable currency. You cannot chase every platform, every trend, every opportunity at once. To disperse attention is to dilute leverage. The master concentrates relentlessly. Zero can become everything if your attention is aligned with a single, compounding direction. Choose one platform, one skill, one service, one niche. Commit. The digital economy rewards depth over breadth. Focus over chaos, patience over desperation. Commit now, act deliberately, and you begin converting zero into leverage. Then act. Action is the multiplier of attention, focus, and identity. Begin creating, delivering, sharing, offering value. Content, services, advice, guidance, these are your first tools. None require money. Social media posts, YouTube videos, free PDFs, forum contributions, answering questions, helping others, offering microservices, all of these are engines to convert zero into influence, zero into attention, zero into compounding income. Action must be consistent, invisible, deliberate. Repeat relentlessly. The first $0 steps are the most important because they train your mind to execute without reward, to persist without visibility, to refine without validation. Iteration is the secret weapon. Nothing you do today will be perfect. That is irrelevant. Systems are built by trial, error, and refinement. Every post that underperforms teaches you engagement. Every message unanswered teaches you clarity. Every free service delivered teaches you process. Iterate daily. Small, disciplined adjustments compound into systems that function independently. This is the invisible architecture of online income. Refine relentlessly, act without reward, improve quietly, and patience transforms repetition into leverage. Patience is your greatest asset. You will not see the fruits of your labor immediately. You will be tempted by envy, by speed, by comparison, by the apparent success of others. Ignore them. The digital economy is neutral. It does not reward wishful thinking, nor does it punish invisible action. Systems, persistence, and compounding determine outcomes. You will produce, refine, iterate, and repeat. And in time, months, perhaps even years, your $0 efforts will begin to yield attention, then influence, then small income, then compounding systems that grow without intervention. Emotional detachment is critical. You will encounter fear, doubt, envy, impatience, and desire. You will see others succeeding seemingly overnight while your screens remain blank. You will feel invisible. You will feel small. You will feel insignificant. These emotions are normal. They are the tests. Do not react. Do not chase. Do not panic. Observe, act, refine, execute. Detach from immediate outcome and attach only to the process, the habits, the systems, the internal mastery. Detached action is the fuel of compounding income. Emotionally reactive action is the tax that will keep your $0 zero forever. Leverage is the multiplier of everything. Internal leverage, the ability to act, to persist, to focus, to refine, precedes external leverage. Once internal mastery is established, external tools, platforms, and networks amplify your efforts exponentially. 0 becomes 1, 1 becomes 10, 10 becomes 100. Your internal discipline converts invisible effort exponentially. 0 becomes 1, 1 becomes 10, 10 becomes 100. Your internal discipline converts invisible effort into tangible results. Money is merely the reflection of internal mastery amplified by systems. Begin with $0, but cultivate internal leverage first. External tools obey only the internally disciplined. Start small, act immediately, iterate relentlessly. $0 is not a limitation, it is freedom. No resources means no distractions from execution. Begin with free platforms, social media, content, communities, forums, freelancing opportunities, collaborations, microservices. Create value, solve small problems, offer your skill, your knowledge, your effort. Build systems to deliver this value consistently. Document, iterate, optimize, repeat. Compounding begins at 0, but the principle is identical to the principle of wealth at scale. Invisible mastery multiplies visible outcome. Hunger must be refined into strategy. Desire must be refined into systems. Patience must be refined into compounding. Every post, every product, every service, every interaction is an opportunity to practice invisible mastery. Every 0 day is a test of identity, attention, focus, patience, and leverage. Execute relentlessly, and you are creating invisible systems that will yield income before the world notices. Fail to execute, and 0 becomes nothing forever. Identity alignment is paramount. You cannot hope to earn if you do not become the person capable of earning. Habits, attention, patience, hunger, focus, resilience, persistence, they are your first capital. They are the scaffolding upon which $0 is transformed into income, systems, leverage, and eventually freedom. Begin today by embodying the person who earns, not the person who dreams. Begin today with identity, not capital. Begin today with mastery, not luck. You might think starting with nothing is a disadvantage. It is not. Scarcity is clarity. $0, 0 resources, 0 excuses. This is the blank canvas on which mastery is painted. When you have nothing, you are free from distraction, free from debt, free from the tyranny of expectation. The world will not hand you opportunity, and you will not receive it by waiting. The digital economy rewards action, alignment, and internal mastery, not hope. You must become the engine that generates value, leverage, and income from 0. Start with observation. Study the platforms where your future income will emerge. Social media, forums, communities, freelancing marketplaces. These are the arenas where value circulates freely and where anyone with attention, focus, and persistence can create influence without paying a single dollar. Observe patterns. See what works, what engages, what is ignored. Do not act yet. Absorb. Learn the language of your field, the cadence of attention, the rhythm of value exchange. Knowledge without execution is a mirage, but observation without awareness is blindness. This is the first invisible work of starting from 0. Next, decide where your focus will be. Focus is your most valuable currency.
You cannot chase every platform, every trend, every opportunity at once. To disperse attention is to dilute leverage. The master concentrates relentlessly. Zero can become everything if your attention is aligned with a single compounding direction. Choose one platform, one skill, one service, one niche. Commit. The digital economy rewards depth over breadth, focus over chaos, patience over desperation. Commit now, act deliberately, and you begin converting nothing into leverage. Then, act. Action is the multiplier of attention, focus, and identity. Begin creating, delivering, sharing, offering value. Content, services, advice, guidance, these are your first tools. None require money. Social media posts, YouTube videos, free PDFs, forum contributions, answering questions, helping others, offering microservices. All of these are engines to convert zero into influence, zero into attention, zero into compounding income. Action must be consistent, invisible, deliberate. Repeat relentlessly. The first $0 steps are the most important because they train your mind to execute without reward, to persist without visibility, to refine without validation. Iteration is the secret weapon. Nothing you do today will be perfect. That is irrelevant. Systems are built by trial, error, and refinement. Every post that underperforms teaches you engagement. Every message unanswered teaches you clarity. Every free service delivered teaches you process. Iterate daily. Small, disciplined adjustments compound into systems that function independently. This is the invisible architecture of online income. Refine relentlessly, act without reward, improve quietly, and patience transforms repetition into leverage. Patience is your greatest asset. You will not see the fruits of your labor immediately. You will be tempted by envy, by speed, by comparison, by the apparent success of others. Ignore them. The digital economy is neutral. It does not reward wishful thinking, nor does it punish invisible action. Systems, persistence, and compounding determine outcomes. You will produce, refine, iterate, and repeat. And in time, months, perhaps even years, your $0 efforts will begin to yield attention, then influence, then small income, then compounding systems that grow without intervention. Emotional detachment is critical. You will encounter rejection, silence, apathy. Your content may go unnoticed, your services may be undervalued, your efforts may seem invisible. Do not react with despair or impatience. Do not chase attention, likes, or validation. Act because your identity demands it. Refine because your internal system requires it. Persist because compounding rewards those who endure. Detached action transforms zero into opportunity. Emotional reaction transforms zero into frustration. Leverage compounds in layers. First, internal leverage, your attention, focus, identity, patience, and discipline. Second, platform leverage, free tools, free audiences, free distribution channels. Third, network leverage, collaborators, connections, communities, feedback loops. Fourth, value leverage, skills, knowledge, insight, problem-solving ability. Starting with $0, you have nothing to offer but yourself, your time, your intelligence, your creativity. Multiply it through systems, repeat it through execution, amplify it with attention and patience. Compounding begins invisibly, but it is inevitable for the disciplined. Begin small, but think in systems. Post once per day. Engage in communities once per day. Deliver a free service once per week. Record a short video. Write a blog post. Answer questions. These micro-actions are the building blocks of an invisible, scalable system. A single blog post may generate nothing today. A single answer may be ignored, yet each is a brick in the invisible infrastructure that eventually yields leverage, attention, influence, and income. Zero is fertile when action compounds. Zero is fertile when identity governs execution. The first dollar is not the goal. The goal is identity, mastery, leverage. Income is the reflection, not the target. If you chase the dollar alone, you will fail. If you chase influence, systems, value, skill, and execution, the dollar becomes inevitable. The digital economy mirrors what you embody internally. Discipline yields income. Focus yields income. Patience yields income. Iteration yields income. Hunger guided by restraint yields income. Internal mastery multiplies every external opportunity, starting from zero. Learning is the first free currency. Countless tutorials, communities, guides, podcasts, YouTube videos, all available at zero cost, hold the raw material to construct your first system. Consume deliberately, apply immediately, refine continuously. Knowledge applied methodically and iteratively compounds faster than money ever could. Start learning today, executing today, refining today. Your first $0 investment is in attention and discipline, not capital. These will yield returns far beyond money because they are permanent, internal, unshakable assets. Your first microservices can start at zero investment. Freelancing platforms, online communities, social media outreach offer help, guidance, or creation for free or in exchange for testimonials. Build credibility, build process, build systems. Each free service is a rehearsal for larger offerings. Each task, no matter how small, teaches iteration, discipline, and compounding. The first
dollar is earned by value delivered consistently and invisibly. Zero becomes leverage. Zero becomes credibility. Zero becomes a foundation. Every platform has rules, trends, and attention flows. Study them. Observe what earns engagement. Observe what creates impact. Do not copy, adapt, innovate, iterate. Apply lessons immediately. Attention is multiplied when aligned with insight. Focus is amplified when directed strategically. The digital economy does not reward imitation. It rewards disciplined execution informed by observation, aligned with identity, and repeated consistently over time. Zero becomes one through mastery of attention and iteration. Time is your most powerful asset. Starting with nothing, you have no financial anchors to distract you. Every hour spent learning, acting, refining, or iterating compounds invisibly into leverage. Protect it. Allocate it deliberately. Guard against distraction, comparison, and indulgence. The digital economy rewards attention applied methodically. Every hour wasted is lost leverage. Every hour disciplined is multiplied income in the future. Your $0 start depends entirely on the governance of time, attention, and focus. Hunger is not impulsive desire. Hunger is patient pursuit. Hunger is focus guided by identity. Hunger is iteration multiplied by patience. You will feel hungry for fast results, for attention, for instant reward. Restrain it. Channel it into invisible compounding, content creation, skill acquisition, networking, system building. Hunger without patience destroys. Patience without hunger stagnates. Together, they form the crucible that converts zero into income, zero into influence, zero into freedom. Iteration is relentless. Systems must be tested, refined, and scaled. One video, one post, one service may yield nothing. Observe, analyze, adapt, improve, repeat, repeat, repeat. Compounding occurs in silence. Patience transforms repetition into leverage. Small, disciplined actions done daily over weeks and months create systems that function autonomously. Your $0 start is not measured in money today. It is measured in the invisible infrastructure you are constructing for tomorrow. Identity is the permanent currency. You cannot build income without first becoming the person capable of earning it.
Habits, patience, focus, resilience, adaptability, execution, these are your first investments. $0 can buy attention, focus, identity, and skill. These are infinitely more powerful than money. They are the foundations of systems, leverage, influence, and eventual income. Build identity today. Build habits today. Execute consistently today. Your first dollar will follow naturally. The digital economy is indifferent. Platforms, algorithms, audiences, they do not care about your intentions or desire. They respond to execution, alignment, persistence, and value. Master internal discipline, protect attention, refine systems, iterate relentlessly, deliver value invisibly, observe without reaction, act without attachment. The world will eventually reward mastery, patience, and leverage. 0, when applied correctly, becomes unstoppable. Every choice you make compounds. Every distraction diminishes. Every act of invisible execution multiplies. Every free tutorial, every post, every answer, every microservice is a brick in the foundation. 0 becomes leverage. Leverage becomes influence. Influence becomes income. Income becomes freedom. Begin today. Act quietly. Refine relentlessly. Build systems invisibly. Compound silently. The first $0 step is the first act of mastery, patience, and identity alignment. At some point, after the observation, after the first actions, after the early repetitions, a quiet discomfort appears. It is subtle but unmistakable. The discomfort of consistency, the discomfort of showing up when nothing happens, the discomfort of effort without applause. This is the moment most people misinterpret as failure. It is not failure. It is the threshold. This is where 0 begins to transform into something dangerous, something powerful, something that cannot be taken away once formed. The discomfort is proof that identity is being forged. Most people stop here, not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack the emotional architecture required to endure invisibility. They mistake silence for rejection. They mistake slow progress for incompetence. They mistake boredom for a sign they chose wrong. They abandon the process not because it failed, but because it demanded more discipline than they were willing to give. If you are starting with $0, this phase is unavoidable. You must learn to sit inside discomfort without flinching, to execute without emotional reward, to build while unseen. This is where online income is actually born, not on screens, but inside the nervous system. You must understand something critical. The digital economy is not a marketplace of money. It is a marketplace of attention and trust. Money is merely the final translation. Attention is earned through consistency. Trust is earned through restraint. Both are earned through repetition without desperation. When you begin with nothing, you are given the rare opportunity to build attention and trust cleanly, without corruption, without shortcuts, without distortion, but only if you can resist the urge to force results prematurely. The urge will come. You will want to monetize too early. You will want to sell before you have authority. You will want to extract value before you have delivered enough of it. This is where most $0 starts collapse. Not because monetization is wrong, but because timing is everything. The market can smell desperation. Algorithms can sense inconsistency. Audiences can feel when you are grasping. Restraint here is not weakness, it is leverage. Every day you delay extraction while continuing to deliver value compounds authority. Authority compounds income far faster than tactics ever could. This is where emotional mastery becomes non-negotiable. You must detach from outcome completely, not intellectually, but viscerally. You must train yourself to create, post, engage, build, refine, and repeat without checking metrics compulsively, without craving validation, without attaching your self-worth to performance. Metrics are data, not judgment. Silence is space, not rejection. Slow growth is structure forming, not stagnation. The moment you internalize this, you gain leverage most people never access. $0 forces you to rely on something deeper than capital,
coherence. Your thoughts, actions, habits, and identity must align. There is no money to hide behind, no ads to compensate for weak execution, no outsourcing to mask inconsistency. Everything becomes honest. This is why starting from zero, though uncomfortable, produces the strongest earners when done correctly. It strips illusion, it exposes weakness, it demands internal order. And internal order is the precursor to scalable income. At this stage, you must refine your relationship with time. Time is no longer something to fill, it is something to invest. Every hour must serve a system. Creation, learning, engagement, refinement, each must have intention. Random action produces random results. Deliberate repetition produces compounding. You must begin treating your days as architecture, not noise. Morning execution, midday learning, evening refinement. Not rigid schedules, but disciplined rhythms. Systems run on rhythm, not motivation. You will feel resistance, not external resistance, but internal. Procrastination disguised as research, distraction disguised as opportunity, comparison disguised as inspiration. These are not accidents, they are defenses of the old identity. The mind resists restructuring because restructuring threatens comfort, but comfort has no leverage. Comfort produces stagnation. Growth requires friction, and friction is exactly what a $0 start provides in abundance. You must learn to recognize impulse immediately and neutralize it. The impulse to pivot too early, the impulse to chase trends, the impulse to abandon a platform because growth is slow, the impulse to consume instead of create. Every impulse indulged fractures compounding. Every impulse restrained strengthens authority. This is the invisible game being played beneath online income, the one no one talks about because it cannot be sold easily, but it determines everything. As days turn into weeks, something subtle begins to happen. Your execution becomes calmer, your thinking becomes sharper, your reaction slow. You begin to see patterns instead of noise. You notice what content resonates, not emotionally, but structurally. You understand what questions people repeatedly ask. You see gaps others overlook because they are too busy chasing virality. This is perception sharpening. This is internal leverage emerging. This is when zero starts to feel less like nothing and more like potential under compression. At this point, monetization becomes inevitable, not forced. Someone asks for help. Someone asks for deeper insight. Someone asks if you offer services. Someone asks if you teach. This is not luck.
This is alignment. Authority creates demand. Consistency creates visibility. Restraint creates trust. When monetization arises organically, it compounds cleanly. No resistance, no guilt, no desperation. The exchange feels natural because value has already been delivered extensively. Your first income may be small, insignificant by surface standards. Do not dismiss it. The amount is irrelevant. What matters is the signal. The system worked. 0 became 1. 1 can be multiplied. This is the moment many sabotage themselves by celebrating too loudly, by scaling prematurely, by abandoning discipline. Do not do this. Treat the first income as confirmation, not completion. Refine the process. Document what worked. Strengthen the system. Stability precedes scale. This is where most people fail again. They confuse momentum with mastery. They relax discipline. They indulge impulse. They chase growth instead of reinforcing foundation. Online income is fragile when built on excitement. It is unbreakable when built on structure. You must remain boring, repetitive, methodical, calm. Let others chase fireworks. You are building infrastructure. At this stage, your $0 origin becomes your greatest strength. You know how to operate without excess. You know how to extract maximum value from minimal resources. You know how to learn quickly, act deliberately, and refine continuously. This makes you adaptable. Adaptability is the highest form of leverage in a digital economy that changes constantly. Tools evolve, platforms shift, trends die, discipline endures. Your attention now becomes sharper. You no longer scroll mindlessly. You observe strategically. You consume only what feeds execution. Everything else is noise. You are no longer impressed by aesthetics alone. You evaluate systems. You reverse engineer success. You understand that most visible success is the result of years of invisible repetition. This awareness immunizes you against envy and impatience. You are playing a longer game now. $0 also teaches humility, not the performative kind, but the functional kind. You learn to ask questions, to listen, to test assumptions, to adapt without ego. Ego is expensive. It blinds perception. It prevents iteration. The digital economy punishes ego relentlessly. Starting with nothing forces humility early, and humility accelerates learning. Learning accelerates leverage. Leverage accelerates income. As your system stabilizes, you begin to feel something rare, calm confidence. Not hype, not arrogance, quiet certainty. You know that as long as you execute, income will follow. You are no longer emotionally attached to specific outcomes. You trust the process because you have seen it work from nothing. This internal shift is worth more than any tactic. It cannot be taken from you. From here, scaling becomes a technical problem, not an emotional one. You can add volume, improve quality, expand reach, layer offerings, but none of it disrupts your core because your foundation is identity-based, not outcome-based. You are no longer trying to make money online. You are operating a system that produces money as a side effect of disciplined value creation. This is the hidden advantage of starting with $0 and doing it correctly. You are not fragile. You are not dependent on capital. You are not enslaved by metrics. You are not reactive. You are internally ordered. An internal order bends external systems, always. By now, you understand the truth most never grasp. Online income is not built on ideas, platforms, or money. It is built on restraint, repetition, perception, and self-command. $0 simply removes the illusion that it could ever be anything else. And as you continue forward, the work becomes quieter, deeper, more precise, less emotion, more clarity, less urgency, more authority. You are no longer chasing income. You are allowing it to emerge as a consequence of who you have become and how you operate. This is not glamorous. It is powerful. There comes a moment, subtle but decisive, when income begins to appear with some regularity. Not abundance yet, not freedom, but confirmation, a pattern, a rhythm, proof that the system responds when you show up correctly. This is where the game becomes more dangerous, not easier, because the arrival of money, even in small amounts, introduces a new adversary, distortion. Money does not corrupt character, it reveals it. And when you start from zero, the first income tests whether your internal architecture is strong enough to hold what you are beginning to attract. Most people fail here, not because they cannot earn, but because they cannot remain disciplined once earning begins. The hunger that once fueled patience now mutates into impatience. The restraint that built trust is replaced by urgency. The quiet consistency that formed authority is sacrificed for expansion too early, too loud, too fast. They want more immediately. They feel entitled. They feel validated, and they begin to deviate. This is how systems collapse. You must understand this clearly. Early income is not success. It is stress testing. It is the market asking a question, not granting permission. Can you repeat this without emotional volatility? Can you scale without losing coherence? Can you increase output without degrading quality?
Can you handle more without becoming reactive? These questions determine whether income compounds or evaporates. At this stage, restraint becomes even more important than hunger. You must resist lifestyle inflation, even psychological inflation. Do not upgrade identity prematurely. Do not announce victory. Do not loosen standards. Money arriving does not mean the system is finished. It means the system is fragile and must be protected. The discipline that built it must now become stricter, not softer. Scaling begins internally, not externally. Before you add platforms, products, or volume, you refine your internal processes, how you think, how you decide, how you respond to uncertainty, how you allocate attention, how you recover from setbacks. Money amplifies these traits. If they are unstable, money destabilizes you. If they are ordered, money accelerates you. The temptation to rush is immense. You will see possibilities everywhere, new offers, new niches, new collaborations, new platforms. Most of them are distractions disguised as opportunity. Discernment is the new skill required. You must ask not what is possible, but what is aligned. Not what could make money, but what strengthens the system. Alignment compounds. Opportunism fragments. Your relationship with time must evolve again. Early on, time was about discipline and repetition. Now it becomes about allocation and leverage. What actions produce disproportionate impact? What systems can be simplified? What can be automated without losing integrity? But automation without mastery is dangerous. You must first understand every moving part intimately. Only then can you remove yourself without weakening the structure. This is where many try to escape the work too early. They want passive income before they have active mastery. They want leverage before they have control. They want freedom before they have earned authority over themselves. This inversion always collapses. Passive income is not the absence of work. It is the presence of systems built through intense, focused labor. You cannot skip this phase. Emotionally, this stage demands a colder discipline, not cold in spirit, but cold in reaction. Praise must not inflate you. Criticism must not destabilize you. Fluctuations in income must not alter behavior. You must become internally flat while externally dynamic. Calm execution regardless of outcome. This emotional neutrality is rare, and it is the foundation of long-term wealth. You will begin to see others differently, those chasing trends, those hopping platforms, those constantly rebranding, those selling speed. You will recognize the anxiety beneath their motion, the absence of center, the lack of internal authority. This is not judgment, it is clarity, and clarity protects you from following them. As income grows, so does the noise. Advice increases, opinions multiply. Everyone has a strategy for you. Most of them are projections of their own fear or ambition. You must learn to listen without absorbing, to evaluate without reacting, to remain internally sovereign. The more visible you become, the more essential this becomes. External voices cannot be allowed to override internal coherence. This is also where money begins to tempt you to abandon the philosophy that built
it. Shortcuts appear, gray areas, ethical compromises, low-integrity offers with high returns. They will promise speed and scale, and they will cost you everything eventually. Because once integrity fractures, trust erodes, and trust is the real currency of online income. Without it, nothing compounds. You must remember why you started, not emotionally, but structurally. You started to build systems that produce freedom, not cages of obligation. You started to master yourself, not become enslaved by metrics or money. You started with zero to build something clean, something durable, something aligned. Do not abandon that foundation now. At this stage, the work becomes more internal than external again. You refine beliefs around worth, patience, and sufficiency. You confront subtle fears of loss. You address the impulse to prove. You dismantle the need for external validation. Money has a way of exposing unresolved identity gaps. You must close them deliberately, or they will widen under pressure. True scaling is boring. It is optimization, not reinvention. It is consistency, not novelty. It is subtraction, not addition. Removing friction, strengthening core systems, deepening trust, improving clarity. Doing the same things better, not different things constantly. This is why few scale sustainably. They confuse growth with chaos. You must also refine your definition of success. If success becomes purely numerical, you will sacrifice everything for it. If success remains identity-based, numerical growth becomes a byproduct, not a dictator. You are not building income to feel powerful. You are building income because you are powerful internally, and the world reflects it. Eventually, income becomes predictable, not fixed, but understandable. You know what actions produce results. You know where effort matters. You know where it doesn't. This knowledge is liberation. It removes anxiety. It restores choice. It allows you to design your days intentionally. This is the beginning of real freedom, not the flashy version sold online, but the quiet authority to choose how you deploy your energy. And yet, the work is not over. It never is. Mastery is maintenance. Discipline is a practice, not a destination. The moment you believe you have arrived, decay begins. You must remain vigilant, humble, focused, and internally ordered. The systems you build must be tended like a living organism. Neglect invites entropy. Starting from zero taught you the most important lesson. Nothing external saves you. Not money, not platforms, not followers. Only internal mastery does. And that lesson must remain central even as numbers grow, especially as numbers grow. You are no longer the person you were when you began. You are sharper, calmer, more deliberate, less reactive. This is the real return on starting with nothing. Money is just the receipt. And now the path narrows again, because the higher you go, the fewer can walk with you. The noise fades, the work deepens, the responsibility increases. You are no longer just building income, you are protecting a philosophy. At a certain altitude, the noise disappears. The frantic urgency of beginners, the loud promises of shortcuts, the obsessive fixation on tactics, all of it fades into irrelevance. What remains is structure, rhythm, and responsibility. You are no longer asking whether online income is possible. You are asking how to preserve clarity while it grows, how to prevent dependency while it expands, how to ensure that what you've built serves you rather than enslaves you. This is where sovereignty becomes the central concern. Sovereignty is not independence from platforms, it is independence from emotional reliance on them. Platforms will change, algorithms will shift, audiences will migrate, trends will die. Anyone who ties their identity or stability to a single channel will eventually experience collapse. The disciplined understand this early. They use platforms as tools, not foundations. The foundation is internal order and transferable skill. This is why starting from zero was never about money. It was about learning how to generate value without dependency, how to attract attention without manipulation, how to earn trust without coercion, how to convert effort into income without desperation. These are portable abilities. Once learned, they survive any platform, any market, any era. At this stage, you begin deliberately decentralizing risk, not frantically, not reactively, but methodically. You diversify channels of attention. You strengthen direct relationships. You build assets that cannot be taken away: skills, reputation, clarity of thought, execution discipline. You stop chasing reach and start cultivating depth. Depth compounds longer than reach ever could. You also become ruthless about what you say no to. Opportunities multiply, but not all of them deserve your energy. Some pay well but drain focus. Some inflate ego but weaken systems. Some promise speed but erode integrity. Discernment is now your most valuable filter. Saying no preserves leverage.
Saying yes indiscriminately destroys it. Money by now is no longer emotional, it is informational. It tells you what systems are working, where attention flows, where value is recognized. It no longer dictates your mood or identity. This emotional neutrality is rare. It is what allows wealth to stabilize rather than spike and crash. You are not chasing money, you are interpreting it. This is where many misunderstand freedom. Freedom is not absence of work, it is absence of compulsion. You still work, but now from choice, not fear. You execute, but now with precision, not urgency. You refine systems, not because you are desperate, but because mastery demands elegance. The most dangerous illusion at this stage is comfort. Comfort whispers that you can relax discipline, that you've earned indulgence, that momentum will sustain itself. It won't. Systems decay when neglected. Identity erodes when unchallenged. Attention drifts when unguarded. You must remain alert, not anxious, vigilant without paranoia. You begin designing your life with the same principles you use to build income: clarity, restraint, leverage, and alignment. Your schedule reflects priorities. Your environment supports focus. Your relationships respect your discipline. Anything that disrupts coherence is addressed or removed. This is not isolation, it is intentionality. The internal dialogue changes again. You no longer ask how to make more, you ask how to make better, how to simplify, how to strengthen, how to remove friction, how to deepen impact without increasing chaos. This is refinement. This is where true professionals live. You also recognize a sobering thing. Most people don't want freedom, they want relief. They want escape from discomfort without transformation. You are no longer tempted by this. You understand that discomfort was the forge. Removing it prematurely would weaken you. You do not seek ease, you seek alignment. The systems you've built now have momentum, but momentum is not permission to disengage. It is responsibility to steward. You become the custodian of something larger than yourself, a process that works because it is grounded in discipline and value. Your role is to protect it from degradation. You see now why so many lose wealth after gaining it. They abandon the inner work that created it. They begin reacting again, seeking validation, chasing novelty, losing patience. Wealth amplifies who you are. If you stop becoming, it exposes you. Your sense of time expands. You think in years, not weeks. In systems, not hacks. In identity, not outcomes. This long horizon grants calm. You are no longer threatened by short-term fluctuation. You know how compounding works because you've lived it from zero. And perhaps the most important shift, you trust yourself, not blindly, but structurally. You trust your ability to adapt, to rebuild, to refocus, to execute under uncertainty. This trust cannot be bought. It can only be earned through repeated proof. Starting with nothing gave you that proof. You are now prepared for scale without distortion, income without anxiety, freedom without decay. The final step is not external, it is a confrontation. Because mastery demands a decision that must be renewed daily, a refusal to regress, a refusal to outsource discipline, a refusal to let comfort erode authority. And that confrontation is coming. There is a moment when all illusions fall away. No more theories, no more preparation, no more studying the map. Only execution remains. This is the moment most people avoid their entire lives, not because they lack intelligence or opportunity, but because execution strips identity bare. It reveals who you are when no one is watching, when there is no applause, when discipline is the only witness. If you have followed this path from zero, if you have endured the invisibility, the repetition, the restraint, the quiet labor, then you already know the truth. Online income was never the challenge. You were. Your impulses, your impatience, your need for validation, your resistance to boredom, your fear of silence, your inability to sit with unfinished progress. These were always the bottlenecks. Money merely exposed them. Now you stand at the
threshold where excuses no longer make sense. You understand systems. You understand leverage. You understand attention. You understand compounding. You understand restraint. You understand that freedom is not given, not discovered, not stumbled upon. It is constructed, deliberately, painfully, invisibly. And construction demands authority. Authority begins with a choice that must be made repeatedly, to act even when you don't feel like it, to continue when momentum slows, to refine when boredom creeps in, to remain disciplined when comfort invites decay. This choice is not dramatic, it is quiet. It happens every morning, every session, every decision to either protect your attention or surrender it. You can no longer pretend you don't know what to do. The knowledge is already inside you. Create, deliver value, observe, refine, repeat. Protect focus, resist impulse, delay gratification, build systems, let compounding work. That is the entire formula. Everything else is noise designed to keep you distracted and dependent. The world profits from your hesitation. Platforms profit from your distraction. Trends profit from your impatience. Gurus profit from your confusion. The only person who benefits from your discipline is you. That is why discipline is rare. That is why it feels lonely. That is why it feels heavy. Power is always isolating at first. If you want online income starting from zero, truly want it, then you must accept something uncomfortable. No one is coming to save you. No strategy will override inconsistency. No mindset will replace execution. No belief will substitute for action. And no amount of money later will fix what you refuse to master now. You must decide who you are becoming, not who you want to be seen as, but who you are willing to be when no one is watching. The person who shows up daily, the person who builds quietly, the person who resists distraction, the person who treats time as sacred, the person who understands that boredom is the price of mastery and pays it willingly. This is where identity locks in, not through affirmation, but through behavior. Every disciplined action casts a vote. Every avoided impulse reinforces authority. Every day executed without external reward strengthens the internal economy that produces wealth naturally. And here is the final truth, the one that cannot be softened. If you fail from here, it will not be because the system didn't work. It will be because you chose comfort over command, distraction over discipline, reaction over restraint. The system is unforgiving, but it is fair. It mirrors you perfectly. So now the question returns, sharper than before, heavier with consequence. What will you do with this understanding? Will you return to scrolling, consuming, planning endlessly while execution waits? Or will you sit down today and act, without drama, without announcement, without permission? Will you protect your attention like the asset it is? Will you show up when it's boring? Will you repeat when it feels pointless? Will you refine instead of quitting? Will you let time compound your effort instead of demanding immediate proof? Because if you do, something irreversible happens. You stop hoping. You stop wishing. You stop chasing. You become someone who builds, someone who executes, someone who cannot be stopped by lack of money, lack of support, lack of recognition. Online income starting from zero is not a miracle, it is a mirror, and what it reflects depends entirely on what you choose next. So choose now, not emotionally, not someday, now. Close the distractions. Commit to the process, execute today, refine tomorrow, repeat relentlessly. Do not wait for confidence, build it. Do not wait for clarity, earn it. Do not wait for permission, take authority.
The digital world will reward whoever masters themselves first. Be that person.